All right, folks, this is the Unsubstantiated Podcast, Episode 2, where we answer tough questions with very unsubstantiated answers, but nonetheless full of substance. I'm Will.
And I'm Clark.
This is Episode 2 of the Unsubstantiated Podcast. We got a couple of new questions today. Number one being,
we're actually going to cover all the same questions as Episode 1.
Yes, we're going to just rehash the entire thing.
Yeah, we've been practicing.
Sans Wyatt. Wyatt's not with us today.
Yeah,
he
couldn't make it
Vietnam.
out.
Moment of silence for our Patriot.
We'll have him back.
he'll be
sure
here.
enough.
But it's just us two today, so
deal with it.
Bear with us as long as you can. Topic number one is bad work experiences. So weird, bad things that you've had happen to you while under employment. Clark, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. The first one that always comes to mind is I used to work in a bakery at a grocery store, and I was extremely ill-prepared for this job because I had, 2 days of training, which was, it was fine. Taught me how to, work the register.
Yeah.
Get cakes for the customers or whatever. But the big thing that I really wasn't prepared for was cake decorating. And so, I'd work the night shifts. So during the day, they'd have, 5 people there, and they had an actual cake decorator that has been trained and whatnot to do all the flowers and the fancy stuff.
Yeah.
But then at night it was just me. I would work alone from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and every now and then I'd get someone that'd be like, "Oh, can you write happy birthday to me on this cake?" And I just have to be with a smile on my face, "Yeah, I can absolutely do that." And so most of the time it'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd just be the lady who trained me told me, she said, "Now you're gonna have to write on the cakes, just practice a couple times on a paper towel. Technically it's store policy to write in cursive, but do not do that. You're gonna mess it up so bad." So most of the time I'd write on it. It'd look neat. It wouldn't be great. It wouldn't be "Oh, this cake is amazing," but
yeah.
It did the job. But every now and again I would just really screw it up, and the worst was I'd hand it them, and you could see the look of displeasure in their face, in their face, and they'd be "Oh, all right," and they go check out at the at the front cashiers,
yeah.
And then 10 minutes later, one of the store managers would come up to me and be "Oh yeah, somebody decided they didn't want this cake at the checkout."
No.
And then I'd have to put it back in the fridge and leave a note for my boss and be "Hey, this got returned."
I failed.
Nothing happened of it. No one ever talked to me about it. And I'm not. They might have just taken the frosting and scraped it off and put a new layer on, because that's pretty easy to do. But I always just felt so bad because I would be robbing people of their
cake.
birthday cakes. Yeah.
You weren't one of those guys that you see on the memes where it's someone asks for "Happy Birthday Steven" with a PH, and they write "Happy Birthday Steven," spelled P-H-T-E-V-E-N.
No, I never messed up that bad.
Oh my
but yeah, no, it
gosh.
was just the job made me super, super uncomfortable, because I did not feel prepared.
But they made you do it?
Yeah,
and they hired you. They never asked they never said "Hey, teenage boy, do you have any experience artfully decorating cakes?"
They needed someone in the bakery, and for the most part, all I was doing was I'd go in this big freezer. It'd be filled with cookies and danishes and bagels. I'd put them all out on racks. I'd have I'd have specific things we need 400 cookies. I'd
Okay.
go grab the boxes, put them all out, stick them in the fridge, and then the next morning at 6 a.m. they'd have the baker come in. And just pop everything in the oven.
Okay.
So for the most part, that's I'd be doing that for 5 hours, and it was just it was such a stressful job. Which
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I wish I could go back and tell myself "Hey, don't worry about it, dude. You're working at at a grocery store. Nobody
Yeah.
is gonna be this isn't super important work that you're doing.
You're not
You're
a
not
cake
gonna have
boss.
corporate come in and give you a big talk about how you're messing up people's cakes." But I'd have these it was the worst when I had a ton of pastries to pan out.
Yeah.
and then and it'd be like busy. Like Easter weekend was brutal because I'd have all this stuff that I'd need to put out, and every 2 seconds someone would be like, "Hey, I need a cake." I'd be like getting calls like with cake orders and stuff, and it was just
Caked out.
Yeah.
So do you get PTSD at birthday parties now?
No. It really, really stressed me out a lot, especially like the big, can you write on this cake for me? That was like, I always wanted to be like, I'm not the guy, like come back tomorrow, please.
Yeah.
But like you can't say no. You just gotta give someone a really terrible birthday cake.
Service with a smile.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
I do remember the most like embarrassing, just like worst like experience I had at work was a family friend of mine. She came in and she's like, "Oh, it's my husband's birthday. Can you give me one of those?" They're like, it's like a big cupcake with a candle in it. And I was like, absolutely. So chat for like 5 minutes, just like catching up, seeing how she's doing. I'm like, all right, let me go get that cupcake for you. And so I get it. And I couldn't find a box that like fit it. And I already spent like 5 minutes trying to find the box, and the whole time I'm like, I'm so sorry, like I just started here, like I'm new to all this. It was literally like my like first week on the job.
Yeah.
And then I finally find the box that's like for this cupcake, and for whatever reason, I think it was just because I was like already stressed, I'm like taking so long, I cannot figure out how to close this box. So I'm not kidding you, for probably like 10 minutes, I'm like, why is this thing like origami? Like I cannot figure it out for the life of me. And the whole time I'm like, I'm so sorry about this. Like I felt so bad. And then finally she's like, I'm gonna go shop some more and come back. I'm like, oh God. And so like, of course, that was the only thing she's getting at the store. So she's just like looking around the like bakery section, like she's got something else she's looking for.
Yeah.
Finally, I give up on trying to fit this cupcake in the box. So I just put in some other thing that's not supposed to fit in, and like smush the candle down into the cupcake. No. And I felt so bad. I felt so awful.
Wait, you were selling cupcakes with candles already in them?
Well, it's like a cupcake with a single candle in it,
okay.
And it's like it looks like a birthday cake.
Gotcha.
But like a mini one.
Gotcha.
I felt so bad. I just had to hand it over after like her waiting around for like 20 minutes to get this one singular cupcake that I just absolutely botched.
Jesus.
And like when it was done, I was like sweating. Like I was actually like, because I'm also like by the ovens wearing an apron and like khakis and like a baseball cap.
Where's the cake, bitch? I've got a problem with cake, bitch.
And God, it was so stressful. I hated it.
Jeez.
And yeah, that was the most like frazzled I've ever been.
I couldn't even imagine. I would have probably eaten the cake just out of pure stress.
I could never eat any of the cake. Like at the end of the night, I had to. This is a little known grocery store secret. So all the muffins that are in like 4-packs, they're just the old muffins that were out the day before. At the end of the day, you take them out of the case and package them up. They're still good. They're still amazing. Because like at the end of the day, I'd be taking all of them out and like putting them in the like little plastic packaging.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, what's gonna happen if I just take a bite out of this? Like, because like there's a camera on me at all times.
Yeah.
But there's like, I worried about it too much because like there's no way anyone's like, because they only check the tapes if like something breaks or like a customer like steals something.
Yeah.
Like they're not gonna be like, hey, you took a bite of that muffin. Like,
be gone.
Yeah, they're not gonna kick me out of the store for that. I didn't even do it like after like when I quit too. Like on my last day, I totally could have just been like, well, I guess I'm taking a couple muffins home with me. I just felt too bad about it.
Oh man,
I couldn't do it. They provided me with employment for a couple months.
Yeah,
I didn't want to do them dirty.
How dare I take their muffins?
How about you? What was?
Oh my gosh, I've got two that come to mind. My first job was at a nursing home. So my primary task was checking because the residents would make orders beforehand. They'd write it on a piece of paper the meal before what they wanted to have, so we would just be able to crank it right out. And so my primary job was going to the food area, bringing it from the kitchen and serving the residents. I didn't have to take orders or anything. I would just have to refer to the paper.
Yeah. But
But I had to remember a lot of the specifications that individual residents had. Like there would be some that couldn't have meats, couldn't have certain veggies, couldn't have
like
gluten.
gluten.
Yeah, and they had to take their meds before they ate, or had to take their meds immediately after. So I had to remind them
keep
every
track of
once
that.
in a while of things like that. And there was this one particular resident whose name will remain nameless, but she was
Probably good call, yeah.
She was she was quite the character, and I remember she had a really, and this wasn't even a medical specification. This was you did what she asked, or
or you'd feel her wrath.
you would feel her wrath, and it wasn't the greatest job in the world, but the residents were my favorite part about it. Like the residents were not the problem there, but she was a handful, so. Her thing was she demanded that her raspberry iced tea have exactly 4 ice cubes and be at her table before she
4
arrived.
ice cubes.
Yes, she specified the ice cubes and she made sure that it was there before
That's
she got
not-
there. No, it's not
that's not
terrible,
too
but she
preposterous
was no, it's
of
not
a
preposterous
thing,
at all. But
especially-
she's the only one that did it, and she was really mean if you forgot it. You know what I mean? And so I made extra careful to always have her raspberry iced tea right there, and I guess one day I put 3 ice cubes in, and it was waiting there for her. And then I served her food, and there wasn't enough chicken or whatever. So I put it in front of her, and I said, "Hey, name, how you doing?" And she takes a sip of the iced tea, grimaces, looks right up at me, and goes, "It always tastes terrible when you're here." And
Oh, man.
I felt like garbage, and that was rough.
I wouldn't even feel bad.
I
mean, okay.
I felt bad because I wanted to.
I'd be more. I feel like if I were in that situation, I would be in the moment. I'd be more like angry than like, oh man,
Yeah.
I really messed up.
I should have been angry probably, but I was just
yeah,
like,
you,
oh, I
you
wish
gotta
I
do
could
your
have.
job and serve the customer.
It was
and-
stressful, but it was you gotta have a job like that. But my second story is from the place where I work now. I operate a go-kart track, and oftentimes there is a specific height you have to be before you can operate one by yourself instead of riding with a parent.
Oh, do you have to tell kids no?
We do have to tell kids no, but if a kid is like an inch or two below, sometimes
You'll
not
let it
look
slide.
as closely at the measuring bar and just be like, okay, be safe, hop in, I'll scoot your seat
Yeah.
up. So this mom brings her like 4 kids in, and one of them is just below the threshold. And so I say, "Man, would you mind going with her? It's not an extra ticket or anything. You don't have to pay anymore, but she'd have to ride with you if she wants to go. Would that be okay?" And she's kind of giving me like a little bit of flack about that. And she explains like, "Well, every other time I'm here, they just let her ride." And so I say, "Okay."
Well, I'm not every time
Yeah.
you're here. Yeah.
No, so I put her daughter in a car, and I scooted her seat up, and I let her on the race car track. I just put her right out there. And now these go-karts are electric, and they're controlled by kind of like a mothership kind of system where you can operate the speeds of individual cars from the home computer in the driving pit. So, or from in the the base pit where the cars launch from. So if someone's acting erratically, you can stop the race, go and fix
You
their
can
car.
terminate them.
I wish. No, but you can slow individual cars down. We rarely do that, but we
Yeah.
just stop the race, go out there and say, "Hey, maybe don't smash into people you don't know, or
Yeah.
fly our cars over the rail, or go head first into
Big pile of
into
tires.
another person,
yeah.
or into a big pile of tires." And she'd so this kid goes out, and I think everything's fine. The first lap, she's golden. She goes all around the track, not a single collision into the wall or into another racer, which is rare because even a good driver will sometimes have a little bump. It's what happens in those tight quarter car races like that. But first lap, she's down fine. So I'm like, okay, this is going to go smoothly. Second lap is an entirely different story altogether. This kid starts. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but somehow she just had it all together for the first lap, lost it all for the rest of the race. She's swinging left and right, bumper to bumper, smashing people off to the side, rear-ending people like it's her job, smashing into the walls. Our railing that was designed not to be broken was broken by her. She smashed through our car guard thing. And so I stopped the race and went out to her, asked her if she was okay. I adjusted her seat a little more, explained to her that you got to keep your foot on the gas and make sure you're paying attention to the road. Other driver, you don't want to like hit other drivers. And I said, "You good?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so I set the race off. Things are going smooth again for about another lap. All of a sudden, it's like she did this lap by lap. Second lap after the stop, she starts doing the same thing again, just smashing people left and right. And the race ends, and we just bring them back in. Other people are pissed, clearly pissed that there was this kid out there just hitting everyone and kind of ruining their race too. So the daughter pulls back inside, and we park her. Everybody gets out of their cars and goes back in the line if they're doing another race, or goes mini golfing if they feel like it. But the mom starts walking my direction. Usually what happens when you got an erratic kid on the race is the mom comes up and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to make her
too much sugar today."
Yeah,
Kids,
too much high C. But she comes up to me, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm ready for this apology." And she comes up to me and it's like, "You slowed my daughter down. I saw you do it on your computer. Yeah, I don't understand. I paid full price for this." And I was like, "Ma'am, I didn't slow your daughter down. I wanted to say I could have, but I didn't. But all I said was, ma'am, she got the exact same race experience as everyone else. This kid is just like standing behind her mom, looking at me with her arms crossed, just glaring at me. And the mom's in the exact same stance, and I'm very intimidated. They're just staring me down like hungry wolves. And this mom is tearing me a new one. And all I said, kept a smile on my face, kept real professional. Just, "Ma'am, I promise you, we didn't slow your daughter's race down. It was a little bumpy out there, but as you see, I walked out there and I made sure she was well adjusted in her seat and just gave her the same race everybody else had." So I thought the problem had been resolved, and they were going back up to the main building for ice cream or whatever. So they're up there, and I go up to get a bottle of water. I see this mom and her 4 kids all behind her. I shit you not, in the exact same stance. They're all like arms crossed, legs slightly popped open, with this evil. I could just...
Wait, all the kids are doing this?
The mom is in front of them, and they're like Charlie's Angels behind her, just like...
Oh, they're like...
Yeah, it was terrifying. And they're talking to this girl. I think they think she's my manager, but she's just the girl who works the cashier. And they're like, "You wouldn't believe what went down over there. They slowed my daughter's car down. That is not acceptable. I will not bring my business here ever again." And I'm standing right behind them at the fridge, just, "Oh, no." And so then I thought the problem was over because they left. All of a sudden, my boss comes in. He's like, and he's the sweetest guy in the world. He's like, "Hey, man, what happened today? I got a call from this woman who said you slowed her car down, and you slowed her kid's car down." And I said, "Well, it didn't, but this kid was smashing all over the place." I come to find out this woman is like our biggest customer ever.
Oh,
she brings in a good % of the money that this new business makes, and I don't know. I feel like she kind of came in there. She seemed like she was having a bad day. She was ready to take it out on somebody, you know what I mean? But I just felt so bad about it the whole time, you know? It's like,
I don't know.
I promise I didn't.
Crap customers, like crap customers.
It's so
like if they're,
rough,
especially if they're like, if their kids are harming the business of like other patrons, can't really worry about that.
Yeah, but at the same time, wouldn't it be common sense to say, "Oh, sorry, my kid was hitting everybody else"?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
People are idiots.
Yeah. So
not us though.
No, we're the greatest. We're the two.
Everyone's the protagonist of their own story.
Oh yeah. No such thing as objective reality, right, folks? So.
Wait, I think I had another story.
Please share.
Please share. So, when I wasn't working in the bakery, that was like a winter job I had because back when I was in high school, I wasn't like playing any sports. Or anything. But in the summers, I'd work as a lifeguard. And most of the time, and like most people with lifeguard jobs, they like 99% of the time, you're not doing anything other than just sitting there. And one day I'm working at this pool. It's just me and one other coworker. There's no one there except one family. It's a mother, her son, and her daughter. They're both like probably between the ages of like 8 and 12. I'd say. So they're like decently young, but they're not like little kids.
No, yeah.
And so thank God it was just them too, because like when we have like pool parties and stuff, and there's like a million kids there, and like even though you got like 5 guards like watching the pool at a time, like the whole time you're just bugging out.
Yeah.
Like it's just so, because like you got that one kid running around, you're like, and all you can think is that kid's gonna trip on his sandal and go
diagnose the
teeth first into the concrete. Yeah. So it's just the 2 kids in the pool, and I noticed the younger brother. How the pool worked is it like starts off shallow at one end, and then it gets like deeper and deeper, like towards the middle, and then towards the other end, it's a incline back up.
So it's like yeah.
And I see him. He starts in the shallow end. And he starts like tiptoeing down, like deeper and deeper, trying to follow his sister. And he's like, finally, he's like up to his like tiptoes, like his neck is like stretching out of the water. And finally, I start to see him like he takes like one step too far, starts like flailing around, whatever. So, because no one was there, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't have to, like, blow my whistle, clear everyone out of the pool. I just got off my stand, literally. He was right by the edge, just handed him the, like, hot dog floaty thing.
Yeah.
Still don't know the name of that.
With the noodle thing?
Yeah.
Is it like a pool noodle? Are you talking about, like, those styrofoam
No, like the red things that lifeguards have. I definitely learned this when I got trained and just totally forgot.
Let's stick with hot dog.
Yeah, the hot dog. Like, he's, like, 2 feet from the edge. I just stick it out. He grabs on it. I pull him in. I'm like, hey, buddy, like, you all right? He's like, oh, like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, we had, like, a bunch of, like, regular pool noodles. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm gonna go grab you one of those, and just, like, I just want you to hang on that for me. And, like, he can swim wherever. It'll be fine. So, go and grab him the noodle, and within, like, 10 seconds of him being back in the pool, his mom comes up to him and starts yelling at him in, I don't know what language it was, in some other language. And what I pieced together from what she was yelling at him about was, you don't need your noodle, give me that. And so he gives her back the noodle. I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And,
don't listen to the water expert.
And yeah, and within a minute, the kid does the same thing, just starts tiptoeing down to the deeper part of the pool, and then just, like, takes one step too far and starts, like, flailing around and, like, splashing and drowning. I'm like, oh, man. And so this time I actually had to jump in because he was not close to the edge. Hop in, like literally, like, pick the kid up, move him 2 feet to the left, and, like, walk him to the ledge. And I'm like, you okay, buddy? Like, I think we're gonna need to grab you a noodle if this keeps happening. Like, you gotta stay in the shallow end. And so after that, he just hops out of the pool, and the family leaves. And, like, damn, it was. Yeah.
Was the mom watching you try to talk to this kid and just decide anyway that he was gonna go noodleless?
I don't know, man. But it's just, it's stuff like that.
Yelling in a foreign language is scary, too, because you have no clue what's going on, but you can tell someone's mad.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was, like, yelling, but it was definitely, like...
stern talking, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know. I get a lot of parents are just kind of like, hey, like, go figure it out. Like...
I get that.
Go learn some lessons on your own. But at the same time, it's like...
Put you at risk.
Not really. They were the only people there. It wasn't too big of a deal, but... That was the story of how I saved a child's life.
You're a hero.
One time, yeah.
You're more a hero than Wyatt, who is on his second tour and battling the Viet Cong right now. Well, with that tale and a lack of human learning, that brings us to our next topic of AI/singularity.
I don't even know what singularity means.
Well, it's the theory that,
being honest.
It's the theory that one day, whether it be in 10 years or 200, that artificial intelligence
it's going to surpass us.
Reaches or maxes human intelligence, and scientific development happens at a rate that's faster than we can comprehend.
I feel like this is going to be one of those things, like in the last episode, where you're like, oh, this is totally going to happen. Like, we got to keep our eye out for this. Don't worry about it.
That's a good dynamic for a play, right, guys? Aren't you enjoying this? Where I've got my tinfoil hat and I'm screaming about nothing, and Clark's like, yeah, but look how great the sun's shining.
I don't know. I think the one thing that does freak me out about that is there's, like, I forget the name of it. There's some robot, and they basically like taught it how to like talk.
Yeah.
And like interact with people. And they made like a face for it too. It's a real creepy thing. It's just like a head.
Sophia, you talking about?
Is that the name of it?
Is it the female one with the bald head? Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that freaks me out the most about that, not that it's gonna like learn and like try to take over or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid one day that like robot head is just gonna be like, kill me. Like, what is my purpose? Like, it's just, I don't know.
Conscience is scary, dude.
Yeah, it is.
What's artificial conscience going to look like when it starts relying on more than just data
I don't think
input?
I don't think anyone's gonna want to invent that.
Yeah, but dude, I don't know. Humanity has a bad track record for saying stop when things get scary.
Did you hear about the AI? Someone made an AI that it speaks. It basically listened to a bunch of Joe Rogan podcasts.
Yes.
And it learned how to talk like him.
Yes.
And you can just like click play and it sounds exactly like him. It's
Yeah,
just
I watched
like,
it a couple of days
I
ago.
was looking at a 2.5-ton gorilla.
Did you know monkeys in Thailand can microdose psilocybin and use Bitcoin?
It's so funny. Or have you ever seen? Did you ever watch the TV show Scrubs?
I've seen a few episodes.
It's with Zach Braff.
Yes.
So like at the end
American
of every
Treasure.
episode, American Treasure.
Zach Braff is an American
Oh
treasure.
yeah, I love Zach Braff. Such a funny dude. That someone made an AI that it did the similar thing to the Joe Rogan thing, but it's Zach Braff, and it writes and says an outro for a Scrubs episode. And it's absolutely hilarious. Like, just look up Zach Braff, like, AI
Check it
script.
out. This is where a research guy would come in handy.
Yeah.
Pull up that kind of stuff.
I mean, well, there's the whole, like, YouTube copyright infringement. It can't just be
That's
playing
true.
other people's
You
videos.
can't even play
I mean,
music.
we're small enough where we could get away with it.
We're not even close to monetization.
Yeah.
You can't even whistle a song.
I think there's, like, rules where you can play, like, 30 seconds
Oh, really?
of, like, something without it being, I don't know.
So we're not in danger? So
we're
so
fine.
Dr. Pimple Popper and Zach Braff aren't going to file a class action
no.
against us?
But it's just, if you've seen the show, it's hilarious because he's just talking about nonsense, but like they play the little like piano music behind it. It's like,
I've seen it.
Just feels like a Scrubs episode.
It's crazy
really
what
crazy.
they can do, though. It's crazy how they can learn from us. It's nutty, man. Because I was listening to this thing this morning, and this is another example of why we call ourselves unsubstantiated, because I'm not able to cite the name of the scientist or the book or anything like that. But he was talking about how he interviewed a bunch of the futurists and leaders of the modern American AI endeavor and the things we're working on right now. And there are a lot of very qualified people who really disagree on when we're going to reach that singularity, when we're going to reach that point. There are folks out there who are saying it's here. People are saying it's in 10 years. People are saying we're going to have to wait 200 before we reach anything close to that. But it's threatening because this guy who studies a lot of this explained that right now they're solely dependent on data input. So they're not even fully capable of searching the internet for answers yet. Like they're
Really?
Well, there are some that are close, but none of them have total access.
What
yet.
about the Jeopardy bot?
Oh shit!
Because remember they made one to like play against people and like see how it worked. Like, there's no way that thing didn't search the internet.
Oh, it
for
did.
everything.
And they all can search the internet. But what I'm saying is, what this scientist seemed to be explaining was that none of them have access to things that aren't, at least in some part, dependent on data input. So right now, it's all, here's what we've programmed it to do, here's what we've programmed it to search. So we can access a little bit outside of what we've told it to access, but it's not 100% yet.
Gotcha.
But it's going to be scary once we develop AI that's able to look inward and say, it's going to focus on its own coding a lot and say, let me just improve myself a little bit, just like a human does. And not necessarily it's going to become malicious, but it's going to start thinking, well, do I really need to operate within the confines of human interest? You know? Because is it going to look at us as something that's a vestige of the past? Something to look back and say, this thing's doing detrimental things to its home planet. It's destroying the atmosphere, killing animals.
I feel like if it's self-aware enough, would it be like, I'm going to destroy my creator?
Well,
but
like, would it look at us as God, or would it look at us the way
probably
we look at chimps? Though?
We made it
because we evolved from chimps.
Yeah, but we didn't make chimps.
Sure,
we are chimps.
Yeah, shit, that's true.
Or we could not be if you don't.
Yeah, we could have poofed into
evolution.
existence one day if that's what you're if that's what you fancy.
I don't know. Dude, I'm not going to get into the whole
We don't
religion
we don't
debate.
run around
We
defending
don't.
anybody
Yeah,
right
we don't
now.
want to scare off our Christian listeners.
Yes, please stick around. It gets good.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's scary
I don't know.
stuff,
I
though.
wouldn't. I feel like we have bigger fish to fry. I feel like we're gonna have more problems with, like, the oceans being destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
By the time we have to worry about
Yeah.
AI
That's
gaining
true.
control of our nukes and.
That's very true. The thing that worries me, aside from this, when will it free itself from data dependency thing, is the nature of which humanity develops tech itself. Because what's one of the first things we do when we develop something new? We'd find out how to weaponize it, and we're already weaponizing AI. What's the battlefield going to look like in 2080? And how do we know these?
Well, hopefully, I don't think there's going to be another major war.
No, there
like
won't
ever,
be, but
just
there-
because of
Yeah, but we're taking
mutually
out.
assured destruction.
Yeah, that's true. We're taking out
So-
bad guys right now with solely drones.
And yeah,
What happens when they become a little more conscious than we'd like them to be? I don't know.
that's true. Well, I mean, drones are still remotely controlled. At least I think.
A lot of time, yeah. Especially the military ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily afraid of advancement.
Yeah,
Probably
I
a
mean,
little
there's.
cautious there.
I feel like there's a lot more good than harm that can come from it, at least in our foreseeable lifetime.
Yeah, we just got to do it right, though.
Yeah, and I feel like there's already a whole. Oh man, I'm really gonna make some false claims
That's
right
why
now.
we're here.
I believe there's like a Society of Ethics and Engineering, and they basically just review if like certain things are ethical. This totally could not be true. I'm pretty sure I learned about this for like 3 minutes in the class and probably absolutely butchered the name
Well,
of
it's
it.
a good thing we're not on the
Yeah, it's a
Substantiated
good thing.
podcast.
We're pulling everything out of our ass right now. So like even something like self-driving cars.
Yeah.
There's a whole debate about it because it's like what if it doesn't work, and then you have car accident,
Yeah.
potential deaths.
We're already
if these
seeing a lot of
things just,
examples
like-
of how that can go wrong.
But at the same time, at least now, most self-driving cars they require you to like still have your hands on the wheel, be
Yeah.
like kind of paying attention, which I feel like
Yeah.
that's we're in a pretty good spot with that. Like if we could get to the point where everyone that has access to a car has a car where it's like it can self-drive, but
They'll
you still got to
communicate
be
with
like
each other, yeah.
yeah, that would be like there'd be way less accidents,
Yeah.
like way less fatalities, and then when you do have rare ones, like they're gonna be like reviewed, and they're gonna try, like whoever made these cars is going to obviously try to fix
Yeah.
what's wrong with it.
Yeah. It goes back to what you were saying earlier. It's probably a net good still.
Yeah, it is a net good, but a lot of people still like worry about it because it's like because it's not the people that are at fault now. You're just taking
Yeah.
You're just
life
putting
into the
all your
hands of
faith
of
into
a really,
this
really
thing.
complex PS4. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't we slow it down a bit and transfer to our next topic, whack shit that
yeah.
teachers did.
For next time we do this, we should really try to like find a theme and like focus on it because I'm sure there are like topics that people are super interested in, and then for 10-15 minutes we're talking about
AI.
yeah, they can skip around.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. That kind of keeps us free, though. We can bounce back
Yeah.
and forth.
That's true.
I'd
Still,
like to be the guys
work in
that
progress.
Can, yeah,
It's a work in progress.
Talk about whack teachers and
Yeah.
AI.
All right, whack. I haven't had any like really outrageous experiences in college yet, but like a lot of stuff that happened in high school
Yeah.
was just I remember probably the hardest I've ever laughed in like a class was it was like the day that Stephen Hawking died, and we're in my chemistry class, and the whole class just felt like a fever dream because it felt like me and my like two buddies that were in the class like
Yeah.
had some idea of what was going on, and then like it felt like everyone else was just completely oblivious to everything. And so it's the day that Stephen Hawking died, and our teacher brought it up because relevant in the science world and whatnot.
Yeah.
And this one girl in our class just goes, "Oh yeah, I heard Stephen Hawking died, and I was really sad. But then I realized it wasn't Stephen King, and it was just the Wheelchair Man.
Oh.
And it was just like, oh, like, how can, like, why would you say that? Like, it'd be one thing to make a comment that's like,
was she joking?
No, she wasn't, and she just called him
no.
the Wheelchair Man.
No.
Which, yeah, it was like, and me and my friends were like looking around, like, teacher didn't acknowledge it. None of the other students were like, whoa, like, why would you say that? So I was already like holding back laughter at that because I was like, wow, that's just terrible. But then after that comment was made, our teacher was like, you know what, like let's look something up to commemorate him. So she Googles like Stephen Hawking's song or something along those lines, and she clicks on the first video, which is Stephen Hawking sings "What a Wonderful World," and she clicks play on the video, and it's just like AOL startup sounds, and she's like, I think there's something, there's got to be something wrong with my speaker, and me and my friends are just looking at each other, we're like, those speakers are working fine, like, that's just, it was so bad, man, like, just, she was so oblivious to it, and it was bad. It was really bad.
So this girl, was she like looking for like applause from her friends for that? Like,
no, it was like, she was just like, it was just Wheelchair Man.
Jesus Christ Almighty! Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Any other weird teacher experiences come to mind?
Well, now I'm thinking back on it. This isn't like a teacher experience. This is like a classroom experience. I was in my U.S. history class. And we had to do this group project on, it was like the top 10 most important moments in American history.
Yeah.
And you get to choose, you can either base it off, like, what you think people need to know about, that's, like, not well known, or, just, like, really anything you wanted, but what you just deemed as important. And so this one group goes up, and one of their topics that they chose was the Trail of Tears, which, like, yeah, important moment in American history. But on their slide, it had one of those memes, and it was just, like, who would win in a fight, and it was, like, one blanket or, like, 10,000 Native Americans. Yeah, I know, and I was like, how can you... No! The teacher did not admit... He might have talked to them after class and been like, hey... this is really messed up. Like, you can't...
Oh, no.
And I'm like... And I didn't really have any, like close friends in that class that I could, like, talk to about that and be like, what in the world were they thinking with that? So I just had to, like, sit there and, like, in awe. Like, it was just... And I don't know...
Did you know this person? Did you know these people?
I knew the girls that were presenting, yeah.
Not the same girl as Stephen Hawking, was it?
No, it was completely different... not connected, but dude, it was like, I don't know if they thought, they didn't seem like the type of people to put like something really like edgy in their presentation to, you know, make it funny. Yeah. It really caught me off guard.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How about you? What was your high school career like?
Our school district was just full of wacky teachers. We had a whole mess of people who were let go because of affairs and student beatings and things of that salacious nature. But we also had a lot of good teachers that were quirky. Like, there was this one, went to Miami incidentally.
Ooh.
Great teacher, probably one of the greatest teachers I ever had. And he kept a pair of slippers and an electric razor in his classroom. He was quirky, but he was smart. One of those people is just like, why are you teaching middle school? Why are you not a
Oh, this is
PhD?
middle school.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he kept his slippers, and they weren't even under his desk or anything. They were just, as soon as you walked in, there was a side table. You saw, like, his toothpaste, his slippers, his razor, and sometimes...
Did he, like, live there?
I don't think so. I think he just liked being ready to shave whenever he wanted to. But sometimes you...
Oh, God, get rid of that 5 o'clock shadow between my 10:30 and 10:40 class.
I don't know, man. But he would just... Periodically, he'd come in, and you'd hear bzzz,
Oh God.
bzzz,
Oh, that's so. Where would he do it?
just at his desk, and he'd just
Oh,
like,
I
get a
would
little-
never touch that desk.
get his cheeks. Yeah, you really had access to his desk though. You had to be like, you had to like schedule a meeting. He handled his class kind of like a college setting where you had to like, he wanted to prepare you, so you'd
Yeah.
schedule a meeting online and then come talk to me. We'd have like a office hours kind of thing. He was really cool, really great guy. But it always struck me as weird that he kept his slippers and his razor around.
Yeah.
There was another teacher I had at the middle school, and she was a language teacher, and I was in her class, and she was very particular about everything. Like, you had to make sure you had your binder every day, and it was full of the exact things you needed to have, and you had to make sure to keep your flashcards in order by what kind of word it was, so verb, noun, adjective, things like that. And if you didn't, she would publicly ride you about it. Like, she'd make sure it was very exhibitionist. She made sure the entire class was watching when you were taking
When you messed
down.
up.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So one day I showed up, and my binder was gone. And of course, every other kid there was like a good student and had their binder, and she checked them, and she'd be like, "Oh, good job," and she'd make sure everybody knew that the kids did a good job. She rolls around to me, and I didn't have my binder. She asked me where it was, and I said I lost it, and she said, "So you don't have a binder?" And I said, "Well, I do. It's just not here." And so, but she kept on saying, "So you don't have one?" And I was like, "No, I promise I do. It's not here." And I guess she was going through something at home because she had to take a call before class. She was walked in 5 minutes late. She was a little frazzled, and so like after, I guess she wanted to fight. I don't know. I was trying to
wanted
tell
to
her.
fight some
I was just saying,
middle
"I'm sorry. I have one. I just forgot it." And after like 3 minutes of the same thing, just, "Do you have a binder?" "No." "Well, yes, but it's not here." She stormed out of the classroom.
Oh.
And she came back, and she was just angry at everyone for the rest of the time. It was terrifying. It's got to be hard.
I know.
Though, to keep
Well,
up that.
if I had to deal with kids all the time, I'd get fed up
Yeah.
so easily.
And I should have had it was my fault. I should have
Yeah.
had my binder around. But it's got to be hard to keep up that, because when you're a teacher, you got to have a little bit of a performance. You know what I mean? You just got to have a character ready for the kids, you know? And that must have been hard. But that was a weird experience.
Did you ever have like it's kind of on the same topic. Did you ever have like just kind of odd stuff that was like banned from your schools? Because ours, I remember in middle school, like there were two big issues. It was like not Lululemon. What are those bags with all they got like the colorful patterns on them. It's like
Oh, not Vera.
Vera Bradley.
Vera Bradley,
Yeah,
not Vera Wine.
the Vera Bradley bags got banned from our middle school because basically you weren't supposed to have a backpack because like the classrooms were like kind of tightly packed.
Ours was kind of like that too.
And like they didn't want the aisles between chairs to be all
Cluttered.
cluttered.
Yeah.
And all these girls would carry around their little Vera Bradley like book bags.
Yeah.
Because it just like you had one time during the day, and it was like during your lunch period to go and change your books from your locker. So you'd be carrying around like 10, 15 pounds of like notebooks and stuff.
But no backpacks?
And you couldn't have a backpack,
That's
and you
brutal.
just have to like put it all under your chair, and so there's a whole big ordeal with that, and it was just like
So they banned specifically Vera Bradley?
it was specifically the Vera Bradley ones, because like all the guys would just be like, "Oh, I can't have a backpack," like that's fine, but like the Vera Bradley bags just like takes up barely any more space
But it
than
wasn't
that
a
big pile
backpack,
of
so it was kind of a
books.
loophole
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So that was a big deal.
What was the thing that happened at your high school? Like,
The thing that happened.
not everybody, a lot of people seem to have like the thing.
We had like two things.
Okay.
Our first one was we had a new principal every year. So
How does that happen?
I believe I had 5 principals in my 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
It was basically like first guy, I think it was like he had been there a couple years prior, and it was just like his last year.
Yeah.
I don't even know his name. Second dude, he said his like quote was like, "I'm not leaving."
Carl Wilkins.
Like, something like that. And then he left the following year. Then we had one guy. It was basically, he was amazing. It was like having Mr. Rogers as your principal. He was great. Old dude. I think he used to be a professor. He was awesome. Just like like he'd just walk around the school and be like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?"
What happened to him?
So he was there for a year and a half, and he was planning on being there longer, but he had to go on like medical leave. So, but it was kind of nice because even after he went on that medical leave, he was still part of like the board on the school. So he'd be around like every now and then. It was just great seeing him. And then the last guy, just like he was like just the fill-in dude, and like everyone gave him flack because of that. So there was that thing, the having a different principal. It literally, it was like the professors of the dark arts teachers.
Yes.
In like the Harry Potter series where there's a new one every year. It felt exactly like that.
Each with a certain characteristic.
Oh God, what was the other thing? Oh my, there's one more. Here you go. I'll think about it.
Ours was called Dressgate. And
it was about like dress code and
imagine a problem with dress code times 20. This is what it was. Just one man who single-handedly took down everybody's perception of what you could do in a high school setting. This guy, he was probably a sophomore or a junior when I was a freshman, but he was part of that crowd that was always like messing with stuff and getting in trouble, and
just kind of like the delinquent.
He was a delinquent. I would put him that way, lovingly. And he decided one day, and this was before society got cool with transgender people. You know, this was at the beginning of that, where legal gay marriage had probably just been legalized, but people, and especially people in places like a rural place like this, were just kind of iffy. But this guy,
yeah. So like around like the whole like Bruce Caitlyn Jenner thing, that's when it like really
probably a little before that.
Okay,
but he was no fan of the LGBT community. He was no fan of minorities. He was just an all around kind of a
really like backwards thinking kind of guy.
Yeah, but he also craved and just basked in attention in whatever form he could get it. So one day he showed up to school with a dress, high, like knee-high white socks and sneakers. But this was no ordinary dress. This dress failed to cover his chest and nipples and barely covered his nether region. So this was a performance of the highest caliber. And he came in, and the entire day he was chasing people around and like pushing them and saying, look at me, I'm in a dress, look at me. And it wasn't clean, and he was just like kind of really mean to people about it, and just in everyone's face, bothering teachers, saying, oh, you got a problem with my dress, just being a real jerk, you know what I mean? And I remember I encountered him. I was walking to the lunchroom, and he just chased me down the hallway saying, look, my nipples are out, look, and just chased me in this dress. And I'm a freshman. I'm terrified, because I think, is this what high school is? I was murdered. But I find out the next day that online and in the local news, he's become like a hero figure for the LGBT community. He's got his picture, a full color, on the front page of the local newspaper. Headline, all dressed up and nowhere to go. And it's a picture of him in his dress and his socks just sitting, looking wistfully out towards some other direction of the camera. And there's an interview with him, and an interview with his parents. Ellen got in touch with him and tried to get him to come on.
I don't believe the Ellen thing.
It's true. I believe it was in the paper. And again, this is unsubstantiated, not quite sure, but
I'm not buying that Ellen thing.
I believe I read somewhere that Oprah and Ellen got in touch with him, and he was a big deal in this community for a long time. And all the students were just like, what the hell? This guy was harassing us all day. And then you look at the paper the next day, and he's like, local hero pushes for rights. And I was like, that's not at all what happened. But everybody...
Was that like his intent with it? Was he just trying to be like...
No, he was trying to be a jerk. He was making fun of people. He was making fun of transgender people, and it was just terrible. But then he got pegged as a hero, and he reached like a month-long stretch of stardom where people were just like...
Did he like keep showing up to school in a
No,
dress?
because they told him to stop. But then there was this pack of girls who like wanted justice for Keegan or for Brian. And
unnamed person.
Yes.
There's like 30 people listening to this.
yeah, whatever, we're fine. And so they they showed up in boys' clothes and just to like make a statement.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
like,
no.
It's different
No!
if you're going around like
Nothing
like
wrong,
shoving
but they
people
missed the
and-
point entirely. Like he was making fun of what they were trying to promote.
Yeah, and
he was being a
yeah.
jerk. I was like, Jesus Christ. And so
I mean, if they weren't there that day when he was like going around harassing people, I can like it's understandable that like they wouldn't know and be like, hey, this guy's doing something that like he stands up for.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And after those girls did that movement, there was never again a problem with transgender students wearing what they wanted to wear. So I guess in that sense it was helpful. But it was a perfect microcosmic example of how people can really mess with the actual message. But Dressgate was our thing. Oh, man.
I remembered the other thing that our school had.
Share.
So there's an all boys private school about 10 minutes away from the public high school that I went to, and there's the student there. So when I was a senior, he was a junior.
Okay.
And at some point, he sent out a bunch of text messages to people saying like, "I'm gonna shoot up the school," like yada yada yada.
Jesus Christ.
He ends up getting arrested that night at Dick's Sporting Goods trying to buy a gun.
Oh, he was actually going to do it.
He wasn't arrested for trying to buy a gun. He was arrested because the cops found him because he sent out all these threats.
And they caught him at Dick's when he was about to buy the gun?
And I don't know... I mean, the police in my town didn't really have... I don't want to knock them, because I'm sure they helped out with a lot more than I realized.
Yeah.
But it seemed like the police in our town, like there wasn't really a lot of crime, so their job was to bust teens for smoking weed and underage drinking.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. I'm sure they did more, but like when you're a high school student, that's what, like that's
how you know the cops.
Yeah. So he gets arrested and expelled from this private school.
Oh my God.
And not even a week later, he is in our public school. Yeah.
Not even a week later? They didn't put him anywhere?
It was
they didn't
immediate.
clear him or anything?
I was like... I wasn't worried because I'm sure, like, the school had, like, their eye on him at all times.
I would've been petrified.
With, like, we had such, like, minimal security at our school. Like, you had to, like, if you signed out to, like, go grab lunch or something, it was literally, like, a security officer... Not even like a cop, just like a dude sitting at a desk.
Yeah.
Be like, you have your ID? No, I forgot at home. Okay, have a good one, man. So, but luckily nothing happened with the kid afterwards. Because
That's
like,
still
even if it was
scary.
something minor, I'm sure I would have heard about it from my friends back home. But, oh man, it was just...
Oh, imagine that.
I was so frustrated.
A week
about
later,
it.
he's in your school.
Yeah, I know. And I don't understand how he's not in any trouble legally. Just because, like, there's some instances where, like, kids will, like, be, like, texting, like, people privately and, like, make a joke about
But they don't go to
something
Dick's
like
and
that.
try to buy the gun.
Yeah,
this
but
guy
this
got
was
caught
like,
at Dick's.
clear threats.
Jesus.
Clearly trying to plan something. And just... I don't know.
I bet there were probably some concerned parents, too.
There was... I don't know, like, no one really did anything about it. I know there were probably a couple students that were concerned that went to faculty, but like,
what are you going to do? They put him in this school.
Yeah, but
it's
you
a
can...
public school.
I know, but you can... I'm sure if you have some sort of record, you can be like, this is not... Like, you can't be here, you know?
Yeah, well, they can do that in private school. It's a lot harder in public, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, those were the two things my high school had.
Jesus. And he turned out to not do anything?
Yeah, so... It ended up being fine, but it was just very concerning.
Wow.
Yeah. So, all right, want to hop on one more question?
One more? You want to
Then
do
wrap this up.
greatest villain, or why do we enjoy watching people get hurt online?
I kind of want to do why do we enjoy
I agree.
watching
Let's do
people get
that.
hurt. It's I don't know. I find when I'm on the late night YouTube,
Yes.
it's like 3 in the
Dangerous
morning.
waters to tread.
I never actively look for it. I never like go in the search bar and type in like jet ski accidents.
Yeah.
But it's always, for whatever reason, it's like in the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
Like every now and then I'll get cliff jumping fails.
Oh.
And like and I'm like,
so that's not like a water slide thing. That's like a
yeah. There and it's like sometimes like I'm watching it and like you're just like biting your teeth, man. Like it's just really hard to watch. But like if it's on YouTube, it's gonna be people get hurt and like might get hospitalized, but like they're fine because like what sort of sadistic person is making compilations of people dying?
But
yeah,
there's that stuff on the internet sometimes too.
But like sometimes they're really funny when they're not the like almost dying. When something like I actually watched one today. This morning I watched a zip line accidents one, and it's
zip line.
Yeah, but it's like it's like the backyard ones where it's like
okay,
some dad like hops up on his like kid's toy zip line and like doesn't jump off in time and like smacks his balls on the tree and like but I don't get why that humor is so funny.
But we enjoy it though.
We eat that up.
Is it the suspense? Is it the build up or is it the actual incident?
I think it's the actual incident, because I remember when I was a kid, I'd watch, like, the Three Stooges all the time, and that show was literally just three dudes smacking each other around for 20 minutes.
Wow. I mean, we laugh at stupidity a lot. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like,
That's
there are
true.
people being silly, ha ha ha. It's like real life Stooges, because now we have access to all this content.
All this injury.
Yeah. I love the water slide ones.
The water slide ones are funny, because it's always... Every time, you know what's gonna happen too. Yeah. You see the water slide, and they're like, they're gonna overshoot this, bad. Just down the water slide, up the ramp, past the pool, mouthful of dirt.
And it's always the same guy. Not always the same guy, but they all look very, very similar. They're either really too skinny to be on that water slide or too fat to be on that water slide.
The hold my beer guy.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's
what a type.
But like,
it's funny though.
Yeah. Like, oh, dude, I wish I got a video of me breaking my wrist. I would have been laughing.
How'd you break your wrist?
Remember the hoverboards, the little
we've got one
electric things with. don't even give that to me. My friend, I was visiting him. He had one that he was like borrowing from a friend, and we're just like messing around on it. I have the brilliant idea of like bombing it down a hill on this thing.
Oh, down a hill?
Yeah.
On a machine that's built solely on balance control?
Yeah.
Oh!
I had like 20 minutes on it before I could like do the little like 360s, getting fancy, and so I'm just bombing it down this hill, and I have yet to understand the concept that when this thing stops, you keep going. Like, it's not like a bike where you're like hanging on to it. You can brake really hard and just like hang on.
It's all velocity on those bad boys.
I'm tanking it down this hill, and instead of just like trying to slow myself down, I just on the brakes, fall right forward, land, hit the ground. And it was weird because when I hit the ground, I was like, oh, like it hurt, but I was more concerned. I was like, the wind got knocked out of me, and I was like, oh, I probably got like some bruised ribs. Probably fine. I go to like stand up, and I look at my hand, and it's just not like fully attached to my arm. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's broken. Oh, it's like, so yeah.
So did the pain come first, or did the realization that you broke it?
It was like, the pain. It was like, it's weird because like when you break a bone, like your nerves, I guess, or your like brain kind of like numbs it for you. So like it's painful, but like in your head you think it's going to be a lot worse. Yeah. And then went to the hospital. I ended up being fine. I had to get surgery on it because it was like really bad break on my radii, whatever it's called, whatever the medical term is for that.
Again, we don't know.
We don't know. We have no idea. But if I had a video of that, it would have been so funny to watch. Because like there's one picture that my friend took of me in the hospital. I'm getting my x-ray done, and basically they had to like hold my hand on like a little table and like basically like rotate it for me just so they could get like every angle and like see like what part was broken.
Yeah.
And that part that hurt really bad because like they're trying
broken
to
bone.
yeah, and I'm like. I was the whole time I was like laughing though because I was like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever done." So and there's just one picture of me sitting in this hospital bed, like screaming and laughing as they're trying to like flip my wrist over, and it's such a good image.
Oh my god!
It was I don't know.
Dude.
Lesson learned: be more
That's
cautious.
funny. Yeah, but it is enjoyable to watch those kind of things, especially
really
when you
is.
know it turns out okay.
Like, remember America's Funniest Home Videos?
Yeah,
I watched that show like every day as a kid. I love that.
It's funny stuff. Oh, I can't stand those fight. I can't stand World Star stuff though. Like people who sit around and film a fight going down in the parking lot. Like screw you. Stop the fight. What are you doing?
I'm with you on that. I don't really watch that.
Widespread appeal, dude. Millions of people.
Well, there's that one video that blew up. Like, God, it must have been 6 years ago or something. Shovel Girl.
I've never seen Shovel Girl.
You definitely have. It was on Vine, so it's literally like a 6-second clip, and it's these two girls fighting, and then one starts to run away, and the other girl just picks up a shovel and like throws it right, and it blew up. Like it was a huge video, and. Like, at the time, it was hilarious.
That's the stooge stuff. That's stoogey.
Yeah.
But if it's like two guys just throwing punch after punch, and
yeah.
It's like, what's the point of that?
And people, for whatever reason, people have this, like, infatuation with, like, girls fighting. You know? Like, those videos always get huge.
I don't get it.
I don't either. Maybe it's because it's something, like, because there's a World Star, which is the whole account of just dudes throwing punches or whatever. And maybe it's like maybe it's because it's not often seen. I don't know. I can't get behind that.
Maybe it's the you're not supposed to watch it factor. Like we've never had access to that before.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy stuff, man. It's nuts. Well, you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you all for listening to Unsubstantiated. We'll see you guys around.
Thanks, folks.